This is Dave Kahn with Extreme Metal Dreams. We're soon to become Extreme Music Dreams. I'm sitting here in the studio right now with Rikk Beatty of the Rikk Beatty Band. So Rick, how's it been, man?
It's been good.
Now, I seen you a few weeks ago. You did TNT's Guitar Live up at Louis G's, a new show that's going to be coming out on YouTube. And all you guys, the 5 guitarists, all did instrumentals to their own music and a couple to a few others. What is some of the ways that you come up with your ideas on song structures?
Well, basically, I approach it like a normal song, where there's a verse, there's chorus, there's bridge, there's a solo section. Basically, my guitar just replaces the lead vocals. So melody-wise, I try to emulate what a vocalist would do, and you'll notice hook lines and stuff when it comes to the chorus and everything, and then there's the solo section where you get to shred for a bit and everything, and but yeah, I really try to approach it like that because otherwise it just sounds like you're just shredding for 5 minutes straight, and nobody can really walk away from it feeling like they connected with it in any way. If somebody hears a tune and they really like the vocals or they really like the melody line, they can walk away singing the vocals or humming the melody or whatever. And that's kind of what I try to do with the guitar, is still give people that. You still connect with them in that way. Instead, if I just, shredded at them for 5 minutes, then they'd walk away going, wow, that was cool, but then have no recollection of what it was, and so.
For me, like Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien is still one of my premier favorite instrumental albums, and of course I love a lot of the work Yngwie does and Steve Vai's. Who are some of your biggest influences instrumentally?
Instrumentally, definitely Satriani. I love Joe Satriani. Eric Johnson, Gary Hoey. I do absolutely love Steve Vai as well. I just feel like I connect more with guitarists like Satriani because they're so much more on the melodic side. Not to say Vai's not melodic, but there's more of a technical aspect to it. More musicians really appreciate his music versus non-musicians. Non-musicians can listen to Satriani and really just get it, just really connect with it, and I guess that's kind of what I like going for with the music, is to be able to try to connect with as many different people and that I can.
Yeah, like with Satriani's Surfing with the Alien, Surfing with the Alien itself was a great song, but Always With Me, Always With You was my all-time favorite. For some reason, that song just, everything that he's done with it is just really mind-blowing. And then you've got guitarists, like Felix Martin, like I was telling you earlier, you really need to pick up live in Boston because he really reminds me a lot of what you do instrumentally. He doesn't have the same sound, but he's really got that technical sound that you do. How many years have you been playing and training to get those technical aspects that you have?
Well, I've been playing for 26 years, and any guitar player that is in it for the long haul will tell you you never stop learning. You're always learning. You're always trying to evolve as a player, and really getting inspiration from any place you can. I remember talking to Paul Gilbert one time and asking him about developing more speed and whatnot with picking, and he told me, I still practice with a metronome. Every single day I'm practicing my modes with a metronome to keep my speed up, and that's somebody that's just like the fastest guitar player I've ever heard in my life. You listen to the stuff he did in Racer X and Mr. Big and everything, and the guy is just a phenomenal guitar player, and he's still practicing every day, so if you ever get to the point to where you feel like I'm good enough, I don't need to go any further, well, I mean, then, that's where you're going to stay, but I mean, really, it's all about the journey. It's all about keeping going and keep pushing yourself. And so, yeah, every day I'm still trying to develop.
So, have you listened to bands like Cacophony with Marty Friedman and Jason Becker? And you know about the ALS challenge, and how we lost. Well, he's still here today, but he can't play guitar like, Jason Becker because he has ALS. What are some of the things that kids need to know today about guitar playing that they really take for granted? I see a lot of them, like you speak about a metronome. For them that don't know what that is, how would they learn about it?
Well, geez, today it's so amazing. I mean, kids have, I think every generation says this, and I sound so old by saying this right now, but kids really have it a lot easier nowadays than we did before. I mean, you've got YouTube, you've got, this enormous cachet of videos of all these people teaching lessons from all over the world, and it's just all right there for free. I mean, you just, you go on there and you're gonna, you have to weed through a lot of stuff, because anybody can put a video up, but that's why it's cool, but you can really find some amazing, incredible information on places like YouTube, and especially just looking up how to play guitar. I mean, it's a great way to get started, and then go in and get an instructor to further you on. Because, like when I started out, I had books. That was my YouTube. I had tab books and stuff, and so I'm looking through there and finding all this really cool stuff. But then I get to the point to where I have questions that the books can't answer me back, just like the videos aren't going to be able to answer you back. And that's where the instructor comes in. That's where...
I think that's why I'm going to be taking lessons from you pretty soon here, Like I said, ironically, I'm a great guitar tech. I can tear them apart, fix them, put them back together, perfect. Did it for Metal Church and them for years, and so many other major bands. But I never really spent the time learning it and playing it the proper way. I always just did enough to do sound checks, be able to fix them, tune them,
sure,
and then walk away. And a lot of it was when I was younger. I got tired of a egotistical singer that we had, so we fired him, and I gave up guitar to go do the vocals. Now there's a lot of guitarists out there, like Yngwie, that's got really just astronomical big heads. You've done the same skill that they have, and you're well known through the musician world as one of the premier guitarists. What is it that makes you stay so level-headed and down to earth?
Well, I remember from my guitar teacher when I was 16. I think that's when it all happens, when you're a teenager. And basically, I was trying everything I could to be the best guitar player, And I remember him telling me, look, no matter what you do, there is always going to be somebody out there who's going to be better. I mean, no matter, it may be in another state or city or country or whatever, but there's always somebody who's going to be better. So take all that energy that you're putting into trying to be the best and put that into your guitar playing, and just let it, do what it does. But really, there's no point in that kind of ego. I mean, it's you need to have an ego. You need to be confident in what you're doing and proud of what you've accomplished. But there's a fine line between that and just being a jerk.
Between confidence and conceited.
Yeah, exactly. I think I have learned, I would say I've learned more from my students, I feel, than my students have learned from me, even though they would probably say it's the other way around. But students will come in and they'll ask me a question that I would have never thought of in that particular way. And because of that, it makes me look at it differently and come up with different ideas and different things. So I feel like I get just as much out of lessons as the student does, because I don't know, like I said, when those types of things happen, it's just like a cool, little light bulb goes off, or a neat little moment of inspiration. Like I said, because the question was asked in a way that I had never thought of it before. So I don't know. I just I don't know.
That makes me kind of ask a new question that I would have never thought about asking any of the guitarists and guitar teachers that I've met through the years and guys that teach. So, if you feel that you learn from your students just as much as you teach them, have you ever come up with some really outrageous riffs when you're trying to show them something and just all of a sudden, wow, that's a good rhythm, hold on, I need to remember that.
Yeah.
you know, when you're trying to show them something on how to do a structure? Or...
Yeah, sometimes I'll come up with, some chord progression out of nowhere, or some sequencing pattern or something, and be like, oh man, that's actually kind of cool, and we've done that too, like at rehearsal. We'll just be, a lot of times, if I come in with a couple different rhythms, we'll just start to kind of piece them together and jam over top of it and see what happens. And sometimes I'll be playing something and I'm not really paying attention to what I'm playing. I'm paying attention to the music as a whole. And all of a sudden I'm playing something and going, oh man, that's cool, or how the hell am I doing that, and having to take a second look, like, wow, that's a cool riff, I got to remember that. And a lot of times that's the way it happens with the solos, the solo sections and tunes. Like when we just recorded that last single up at London Bridge, I wrote the solo while I played it. And then I really liked it, so I came home and then had to learn what I did, so that way I could keep playing it, And I think that's, I don't know, that's part of the spontaneity of it. Like Hendrix, he never played the same solo the exact same way every single time.
That's the kind of guitarist I would most likely be, because there's actually what I've got. It's called Political Forever Change. And basically, the lyrics are never the same every time I play it to myself and try to work on it, because it's always evolving, just like the politics in our country,
sure,
in the world. Now, what are some of your favorite guitars through your years to play on different styles?
Man, really, if it's a guitar, I like playing on it. But I mean, I've been fortunate enough to really have some really cool guitars in the past. They were cool to me, at least. Guitars are kind of like, cars to some people. There's some guys who never play anything but a Les Paul, and other guys who never play anything but a Jackson or or whatever. And but for me, if it feels good and it sounds good, I love it. I play it. But some of my favorite guitars in the past that I've owned, I had a big collection of Steve Vai gem guitars, the ones with the monkey grip handle and all that. I loved basically every single one of those guitars. I had a chrome Satriani guitar. I loved that. Had a beautiful custom shop Gibson Les Paul that I owned. That was my favorite Les Paul ever. I don't know. And then, of course, I mean, the guitars that Dean has made for me, like the Scarab. It's just,
I was just looking at that. I mean, that's pretty unique looking, man.
Yeah, he had the idea, when I was with Ibanez, my last guitars, basically, they all had Scarabs painted on the body. And so Dean had the idea of carving it into it. And so this guitar, literally, it took 9 months, a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings with different people, different departments in his company and stuff. It was insane how much time went into this guitar. But this guitar, it's just an amazing guitar. It's one of the most perfect guitars I've ever played.
So what kind of pickups and is that a Floyd Rose that you have in it? Or?
Yeah, it's an actual Floyd. The pickups are DiMarzio. It's a PAF Joe and a Mojo pickup. Basically, it's a Satriani set. Really like the tone I get from them. Ebony fretboard. It's got the Z-Glide neck. So it's got
wow. Never seen a neck like that.
Yeah, Dean does this where he removes 70% of the surface material and off of the back of the neck, and it creates this surface almost like a golf ball, and it makes it so that when your hands are sweaty or it's really humid or something, a lot of times your hand will stick like that when it's going up a finished neck. But with this, because all the surface material is gone, the sweat or whatever collects in the pockets and your hand glides really easy up and down the neck. So he's doing this with all of his guitars now, and and his new guitar company is Dean Zielinski Private Label Guitars, and it's makes just amazing guitars.
Now, if I remember right, Dean, isn't that the founder of Dean Guitars that Dimebag was endorsed by forever?
Yeah, Dean has made guitars for everybody. You know, whether they're endorsed by him or not, most serious guitar players have gotten a custom guitar built for them by Dean. And yeah, he started Dean Guitars when he was 17, I think.
Ironically, that's when Dimebag won his first Dean guitar off of a competition.
Oh, that's cool.
In fact, it was the Lightning Bolt Blue one.
Uh-huh.
And he had won it when he was 16 years old off of a guitar competition. And that became his favorite guitar. You know, he won quite a few competitions. And in fact, I believe at the guitar show, didn't we hear that you and Tony Bennington actually competed against each other?
Yeah,
Two guys from Olympia, Tumwater area. What's the likelihood of you guys going down to California and stuff and anything like that?
You know, it was, and the cool thing was, you know, most of those guitar competitions, I mean, I just, for the longest time, okay, so the first guitar competition I got into, I got disqualified because you had to be 21 because it was sponsored by Miller or something, and I was 18. So I went in there and I made it to the finals, and one of the finalists realized I wasn't 21 and told the judges, and then I get this phone call asking for proof of my age. So I had to bow out. Did another guitar competition where the amp that I was provided at the competition kept cutting out, and at the end of the thing I wasn't allowed to redo it on a different amp. So after that I was kind of soured on doing guitar competitions. Well, a buddy of mine takes me up to Guitar Center in Seattle, and he tells me, hey, that Guitar-mageddon thing's going on, we should go up there and watch. And I was like, that'd be cool, you know. So we get up there and we're watching, and after a few people, they call my name. And I'm like, what the heck, you know? And he's like, well, I signed you up for it. And I was like, are you serious? I haven't even practiced over any of this or anything, you know? And he's like, just get up there and do it. So I got up there and I won. I actually won. And so so then I started thinking, okay, maybe I should actually practice because they gave you this disc and you have to pick a song off of it. So I just told the guy, well, you know, pick one of the rock tunes and I'll do something over that, you know. And so anyway, so I took that home and I practiced really, really hard and came back for the next phase of the competition and won that. And I think there was one more phase, and then, you know, you became the Seattle store champion. Well, Tony became the Tacoma store champion at the same time. So he went through all the same stuff. And I'd never met him before. And we went down to California, down to San Francisco for the regional finals. And met up with him, and just, man, I mean, what a cool guy and an amazing guitar player. As a matter of fact, everybody who was there was an amazing guitar player. And, you know, you're literally like just kind of sitting back, watching, going, you know, how am I even here? You know, these guys are like, you know, they're not human. But it was such a great time. It was an amazing time, and I'm really glad I didn't make it to the finals in Las Vegas, because I guess the guy who won, he took two different guitars and put them on the ground and was playing rhythm on one and lead on the other. And it's like, man, I don't even want to be in the same room with that guy. Just, you know, you feel so, you know, I don't know, inept.
Kind of like how we were talking about. I believe it's Michelangelo Beta that played for Nitro.
Nitro, yeah.
And the Ford neck guitar on the song Nitro, in fact, Freight Train, I believe. Yeah, it's Freight Train, where he does this double solo on and bounces between all four necks, and it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, this was back in the 80s and watching this guy, and, you know, I see some of these guys that you know, I've grown up with like Jerry Cantrell and all them that I've known all my life that are just phenomenal guitarists. And I know that when I hung with Jerry and the rest of AIC at the Seahawks Stadium, when it was actually Seahawks Stadium before CenturyLink, and in 2007 we were up there with them and Hart doing a rehearsal for a benefit that they were doing. And we all got pictures taken down on the field with each other, and I've got pictures of them acting like they can all play some football, and Jerry thinking he can run. And but I know that you came home after doing a guitar tour clinic, and I know you played the national anthem at one of the Tumwater High School games. What was it like for you to come back home and be able to do something like that? Play something that's so important as the national anthem and put your twist to it.
It was awesome. It was quite an experience, just because that was the very first time I did it. It was at my high school, and it was for like 2 days before our class reunion, and so it was I don't know, a little nerve-wracking, to be able to do, and it's obviously one of those things you want to make sure you don't mess up. But it was great. I loved it, and every time I've done that, I've done it now a few times for the Tacoma Rainiers up at Cheney Stadium, and I've done it for a couple MMA fights up at one that was on base up at, when it was still Fort Lewis, and then one out at Little Creek Casino, and then I've done it for the military. The military's had me come up and do it a couple times, and it's especially when you're doing it for the military. It's just the biggest honor in my opinion, that a guitar player could get, is to do something like that. And I'll never forget it either. The coolest thing was at the last time I did it for the military, it was for the strike. No, was it the strike? It was the guys who fly the Blackhawks that movie Black Hawk Down was made after. Actually was part of this group, and they presented me with a plaque afterwards and a flag that they actually flew on. For each mission, they had a flag on the ceiling, on the inside ceiling of each Blackhawk. And the reason they did that is because if they took prisoners, they had them basically handcuffed, laying down on a cot, and all that they could see, staring at, was the United States flag hanging up overhead. And so they presented me with a flag that was flown in the last Black Hawk mission over in Iraq, and so I have that in the plaque, and that was just it was awesome.
See, that's why I worked with Five Finger Death Punch before they were major. Had them come up here and play Olympia at Tacoma, me and a couple other promoters. And now these guys are really humongous, and I've got the utmost unbelievable respect for them, because it seems like they've taken a whole new aspect of writing music for our military and for what they do, and everything they do musically and monetary, they do to help our veterans and help these, our innocent military that are fighting all these other countries' wars. So to have that kind of unique, like you said, it's an honor.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know that you played at the Tacoma Rainiers, though.
Oh, yeah. I've done it.
I would have known that. I would have had to have been there, man.
Yeah, I've done it 3 different times. I didn't do it this year, but for the past 3 years in a row, I've done it. I think all 3 times there's YouTube videos that we put up there of it, and that's a blast, because you're talking about just thousands of people that are there, and you've got, it's going through their new sound system, so it's just enormous sounding, and it's great because all the players, they really like it, because it's not the normal, usually they have somebody singing, or I know Paul Sautel's done it on sax once. But all the players, they really
of course,
like it.
Metallica, they did it down there in San Francisco.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I've known those guys throughout the years, and I don't have no respect for them anymore. I don't like any of their music. that they put out anymore. They seem to have lost their edge, in my opinion. When I think of the Star Spangled Banner and national anthems, you know, and people playing national anthems, you know, Oh Canada, and I've seen some guitarists play it and stuff. You know, a lot of flack when Jimi Hendrix did it, and he did it during the turmoil of the late 60s of Vietnam War and everything that was going on. And here we are now, we're in multiple wars. Doesn't it kind of surprise you that no one else has tried to put a new rendition of something like that out today? A lot of guitarists are always trying to do something that's got to do with this country.
Mm-hmm.
It blows my mind that here we are 40 years later and no one's really tried to reinvent it like they do any other music.
Yeah, I've seen, and I can't even remember the name of the band. There was a full band that did a really cool rendition of it in a way that I'd never heard it done before. I can't remember the band's name. I saw, it was one of those Facebook videos that goes around, you know, and it was just amazing. But I think, I don't know, every guitar player I hear do it does it a little differently, but yeah, I don't know.
So what do you think of there's a lot of YouTube videos coming up on Facebook lately of like you got the what are they? I'm trying to remember their last name. They're twin sisters. They both play harps, and they're doing songs by pretty much Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and they're doing them on harps.
Right. I saw that AC/DC tune between the cello guys or whatever, you know, doing that.
Well, and then, of course, there's a girlfriend that her name's Matea, Metal. She's a drummer, and she's got two of her friends that are violinists. And they did System of a Down. And, oh my God, it was just the three of them, her on drums and both them, and it was really amazing to watch.
Yeah.
With those kinds of instrumentals, how do you think it'll actually become something that people will pay to go and see? And
I think so. I think, you know, obviously it's just being instrumental, you're kind of a niche. You're advertising to a certain group of folks, and pairing that down into a specified, I don't know, subsection or whatever of
subgenre or something.
You know, you're slowly narrowing your audience down, but I think it's just it's cool enough. It sounds so cool that I'm seeing a lot more artists, put it into play. Like with Vi on his last few tours, you know, he's had the violinists in there doing, playing right along with him, and probably the most amazing version of his tune "For the Love of God" I'd ever heard was he had, the two violinists playing along with him, and then rhythm guitar and keyboards and drums and bass, and it's just, so I think it's really cool adding in all the the other instruments and making something really huge, a really huge tone come out of it. I can say I'd go see him, because everything that I've seen, the videos that I've seen are just amazing, but yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up. We've had enough of Rick's time. As you can tell, I will be taking lessons from this man. You need to catch every piece you can by these guys. They are a 3-piece instrumental band that is phenomenal from Olympia, Washington.
Actually, 4-piece now.
Oh, 4-piece now.
Yeah, we have a rhythm / backup lead guitar player.
Who'd you guys have?
His name's Dave Sawyer. I've known him for a really long time, really good friends, and he's an amazing guitar player. And I just, after a while listening to the tunes, I really, instead of hitting that, harmonizer button or something on the Axe Effects, it's great to have an actual other guitar player playing that harmony along with me. and adding in that huge extra rhythm sound that you hear on the album but don't hear live. So I think he adds a tremendous amount to the band.
Here it is. I'm a best friend with the drummer and didn't even know they added another player. So you're hearing it here on Extreme Metal Drive. Thanks again, Rick, for your time.
Absolutely.